Hello there, Turtle.
Hi,
Hi. All right, give me 1 sec. I'm
can you
gonna.
share the screen with me
Yeah,
so I get?
that's what I was planning on doing, so that you are
Yeah,
actually watching it.
yeah.
Uh,
I will be back in a second. Wait,
yep.
I need some books.
Let's see. We're gonna.
When they found the pelvis,
All right. We're gonna do this all over again, and now we actually have Turtle here to help us talk through the points that this lady, this paleontologist, mind you, is gonna spew at us. So give me 1 sec. But Christian, is it really true? The people who discovered Lucy had that song with them on a cassette or something. Oh, really? That's interesting.
That's probably true. I don't know. Uh,
All right, are you ready for
it
this?
sounds it sounds true. What I wanted to say before we start,
Yeah.
in case someone watches this later, is that I am not an archaeologist. I am not an anthropologist. But I am a history student, and I work a lot of history, like research it. But yeah, I don't haven't. I'm not a doctor's degree in it, but
And yet, still, I have a feeling that you are going to be more knowledgeable about this than this lady is going to be.
yeah, I think so. I respect the hustle. Let's do it.
Yeah. All right. Let's go. All right. Can you hear it on your end, by the way?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
is my favorite. When they found the pelvis of Lucy, they looked and they said, it looks like an ape. But
Okay, I think
No.
that's all right. So, where's the problem with this? Because
What they did, why Lucy's spectacular is that, well, it kind of looks like an ape, but the reason they reacted to it was that it kind of doesn't look like an ape. That's a major find here. It's like if you go out and find a skeleton of an ape, or you find the basis of a skull of an ape, you kind of see that it is an ape, so you can determine that kind of right away. The thing with Lucy and why she is spectacular is that they could not do that. It's like, yeah, kind of looks like an ape, but fuck, that is weird. And this is so she's not wrong. She's just constructing the argument really wrong here.
all right, let's continue.
it cannot be an ape. It has to be human
Why?
because they wanted it to be human.
No. It's an Australopithecus afarensis. It's not. It's not specifically human. It is what we think one of the earliest ones, but that's because we share some basics.
Yeah.
I don't think.
It's the whole thing. There was never a first human, technically, because it's always an evolving graduate of.
Yeah, you should see evolution as a tree that constantly splitting, right? So
Yeah.
we know that Lucy is one of the earliest fossils that we have found. We have older than her, but that we have found that we can for certainly say that she is showing human characteristics, right?
Yeah. So what I like to do is you can look at let's say evolution of humans as a film, and then every fossil we find is just like a screenshot in time. So
Yes.
that doesn't really tell us much of what comes before or after in and of itself. And so all of the screenshots that we have gathered gives us some idea of what we're looking at.
Let me just pull up a little bit of a timeline because I need a reference. Wait, because first of all, when we speak of these kind of things, it's kind of interesting that I just started to really study this shit. It just happens that you have a stream and all of a sudden someone says Lucy, and I'm like, yeah, I know that shit. I had those books. Wait, I'm just gonna find a video because it has a picture that I need.
But Turtle, they wanted her to be a human.
Yeah, I don't think they really did, because that made shit weird. The thing is, you have all these findings that all these creationists are always saying, like, this will fuck up human history forever.
Oh
But
yeah.
basically, what they're doing, they are pushing it, right? So
Yeah.
they do not fuck up anything. It's just that we place them where they are and have to shift some
I
things.
I love the same thing that they claim that we have actually found the ark, which only goes to show that they work backwards from the conclusion. It's like
Yeah.
they think we have an ark and now we found this thing, so that proves the ark thing, instead of going the appropriate round where it's like, oh, we found this. What does this actually say about things?
Yeah. So one thing that they use, we're gonna let her talk because it's gonna be a lot of dumb shit. But I want to foreshadow some things here. Lucy's old, so the problem with that is that DNA breaks down, right? So one of the major things that you have to do, or even consider when you find a fossil like this, like Lucy, like an Australopith, is that you can't do a DNA test on her. You won't get any conclusive evidence from that, because it breaks down within 1 to 1.2 million years, right? After that, it's kind of just traces of it, and even if you can read it, you're not going to have a conclusive result that determines that this fossil is actually human. So we had to go through other means. But if we were to find a Neanderthal, that kind of changes, right? Because they disappeared like what, 40,000 years ago instead of 1.2 million years ago. So that's an entirely at a ballpark, right? Also another species. So, but so what they try to do when they do these things, and it's amazing that she she has a higher degree than me on this, because you can hear that I know what I'm talking about, is that if you do find a fossil this old, you kind of have to make sure that you just don't have an ape, right? So
Yeah.
because otherwise, you have the problem with fake artifacts and shit like that. The good thing with these types of fossils is that no one knows how to fake these, because if you don't know what you're looking at, you don't know how to fake it.
Yeah. That's a really good point.
I'm gonna share my screen with you as well. You don't have to show that on stream. It's just so you see what I'm looking at. So, but that's kind of the thing, right? So if I find one of these ape skulls,
Yeah.
and they say like, oh yeah, have you? I can't fake it because I don't know monkey anatomy, right?
Yeah.
It's just
That's just,
this is what I found.
Yeah.
I think that is very important, because that's how we determined that the crystal skulls were fake, because they were clearly fake, first of all, but also that the person that did them clearly did not know how old humans were, right? So the story didn't match up.
Yeah.
Didn't match up with our evolutionary timeline, and that's how we do it, because you can't do DNA. What are you gonna do? You're gonna DNA test a monkey, and it's like, yeah, it's partly human. I said, yeah, that doesn't tell us shit.
No. Technically, most monkeys are partly human. We come from the
Exactly.
same place. All right,
Let us speak.
let's see if she has anything more dumb to say. Oh no! No! What happened? Let's.
Afarensis.
Okay, let's see.
Okay, let's do this.
When they found the pelvis of Lucy, they looked and they said, it looks like an ape. But it cannot be an ape. It has to be human.
Why?
because they wanted it to be human.
I just want to point out one more thing about this. This woman has a PhD, so she should know how academic.
scary.
Yeah.
And then what they did, they took that pelvis to a lab and they reshape it in a human shape. The point is,
I can't.
What the fuck did she just say? Can you go back a little bit, because I'm gonna have to try to build this up.
they reshaped it.
Okay.
They took that pelvis to a lab and they reshape it in a human shape.
No. I am what? So they took back stone, because you know how fossils work.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And we just reshaped it, and no one has called them out on it.
Well, she has.
How? The thing with Lucy, why she is so magnificent, is that fuck Lucy, we got a better fossil than her, and she's a PhD. She should know that, right? That Lucy is the famous one, but we have a better one. We found her. We found him on volcanic ash. He was just laying there, right? So it's like, okay, right. He is a lot more complete. So if someone remodeled Lucy, we would be able to see that, because they are of the same species. Now they differ about, I think they differ about maybe 200,000 years, but they are the same species. They're both Australopiths.
Yeah, usually 200,000 years in the grand scope of things isn't really enough to change that much, I think.
No, but the thing is that these people rely on that Lucy is the only fossil, right? So you could technically fake one fossil, that would be fucking difficult though, because what you have to do is change the pelvis in a way that you kind of have to add clay to it or whatever.
Yeah.
If you're gonna change from an ape to a human.
And in that case, it's like super easy to see, like, oh, this is very much newer than the rest of the fossil. What's up with this?
Yeah, it's weird. Did someone use diamond tools on this hip? But the thing with Lucy, why they had this remodel thing, I know where that comes from, is because that Lucy's pelvis was probably cracked. Because she fell out of a tree. So when I say she fell out of a tree and died for nothing, I didn't joke about that. She literally fell out of a tree, and because we know that, right? So we could put her together, and then we found a younger fossil, and we could compare them. Say like, yeah, Lucy had a human life, and she had probably a bigger brain than most primates, right? And they had very real emotions and stuff like that. And we know that because the way we found Lucy is not how you typically find monkeys. It's probably a burial. We can't be sure of that. We don't know what the rituals were back then, several million years ago.
Yeah, of course.
But she was obviously taken care of, right? So, that's how we know things are human, in a sense. So when you find traces of that, you kind of look at the fossil and you see like, okay, so we find these really human characteristics of her surroundings. So was she human? And that's how we do it. We don't do it the other way around. It's not like someone, oh yeah, I found an ape in a cave. Let's make it human.
And now we just construct a whole narrative around all of the details around the surroundings.
We know very little about Lucy and her life, but we know enough to know, basics. And we have this younger fossil that we know even less about, really. He's more complete, but evidence disappear. But basically, one of the most amazing things that these people always look over is that we have generational art of human species interacting, maybe not directly physically, but through art.
Yeah.
Like, you have old art, and then you have a new human species coming by that place and place their art alongside them. Like, we know that they felt for each other, all of these, when they lived alongside each other. So you had that famous cave with the hand paintings in France. One of the most amazing things in that one is that a lot of those handprints, they are way high up, but are of children. So that means that Neanderthals lifted up their children so that they could place their hands higher up, which is an act of compassion.
Yeah.
And we can find this in Australopiths like Lucy.
Yeah.
Like her surroundings. That is how we determine that something is human, not whatever the fuck she is on. I'm just saying that.
Yeah. Let's see what else she has to say. And also, good night, Christian. I'll
good night,
see
Christian.
you whenever I see you. Oh, yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun. All right, let's go.
The point is, when you don't have a Christian worldview, what kind of commitment do you have with honesty?
Wow. I would say you can have just as much or just as little as someone who has a Christian worldview.
Does this even matter? Like, because if you think about honesty, that's a very human concept, right? So, like, a dog is not honest because it doesn't know what honesty is. But it's very human to be able to betray.
Let's
with truth.
Wait, what was that?
What kind of commitment do you have with honesty? With truth? What is lie?
For Haynes.
All
right. Well.
All right. So we know, I mentioned Ötzi before.
Evolution.
Sorry. Yeah.
Which Ötzi is not as old as Lucy, obviously. He's let's see. I'm just gonna pull up the numbers here so that I don't lie for anyone, because I care. Ötzi is he's about 3,300 years before the current year, before year zero, so before Christ. I don't like to use before Christ anymore because we don't use that in academia. But basically, so he's a Homo sapiens, right? But he's also kind of important.
Is he the one with the tattoos?
Yeah, he has tattoos.
Yeah, right.
But he's murdered. Like, literally murdered. We know that. And it's like, okay, yeah, we have probably killed each other a very long time. And if the earliest mass grave, the earliest what we think might have been a genocide, is from 8,000 years before Christ is born. So it's like, we kind of have these things that we can determine that are human capabilities, like honesty and betrayal, but you can't. But that are concepts, right? So you can't say what is honesty and what is betrayal in those times and those cultures. But we kind of know that we have those things natural, and if we can find any trace of that, we can confirm our lineage.
Yeah,
because it's a very human trait.
And also it's an interesting thing about honesty and deception too, really, is that we don't have to mold the theory of evolution in order for it to fit into evolutionary thinking. Whereas, lying and honesty and all of these concepts, when you look at the sort of just a biblical thing, then they have sort of designed stories around how that came to be.
And that is kind of interesting because these are clearly biological, natural occurrences, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
But the Bible is one of the earliest texts that we have that kind of puts those thoughts into text, right? So it would be, so I would say, one of the first philosophical works that so we could say, like, yeah, okay, so the Bible is one of the first tries on trying to put our thoughts into meaning, right?
Yeah.
But the really earliest one we have is not even the Epic of Gilgamesh, but we have seen this before, but in hieroglyphs and cave paintings and stuff like that, there are very clearly human concepts that we have developed by with our brain capacity, and we know that other human species have those concepts. That's how we know they are clearly human. But they use it as, well, the first time we can read about it is the Black Sea Scrolls, right? But that's the earliest example we have of someone putting it down to words. That's not the same thing.
Yeah.
Because we have clearly thought about this a lot. The entire Bible is just some dude thought a lot about this.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And also, we have to remember that the earliest manuscripts that we have for the Bible are still copies. And they are probably copies of written down oral traditions. So
yes,
most likely,
which is,
like,
I think the oldest one we got that we can trace the Bible back to is the Epic of Gilgamesh, and that is because they're blatantly just stealing the stories. But
oh yeah, the Epic of Gilgamesh is, to my knowledge, the oldest literary structure we have, where you have like a story that is being told. And it's quite an amazing read, actually. Like, you can find translations of it.
It's fucked up, but it's
Yes.
but I like, but here's a pretty good point that I can make, that before the Epic of Gilgamesh, we call it prehistory.
Yeah.
And we call it, after the Epic of Gilgamesh, we call it history, because that's written history, right?
Yeah.
So what they're trying to do here is, first of all, they try to say that, fuck it, that epic, that doesn't matter. This book matters. But even that book is not dated, really, because it's probably just Epic of Gilgamesh again. But a lot, 1,000 years later. It's weird. And I can't believe that someone with a PhD does this. Fuck you. You should lose it.
Oh yeah, 100%. I am convinced she took like an online course to get.
I'm gonna do that as well.
Yeah.
I do not deserve to not have a degree when I know this shit this well. Fuck off.
All right. Well, I think we're done with the Lucy part. So I'm gonna let you go for now. Because if not, we're never gonna get through this video.
Yeah. I'm gonna go.
But,
have a great night. I'm still in chat, so
yeah.
bye.
It was nice talking to you.
Yeah.